This scene had an evolution in the editing of the film too. When I was cutting it, this, in a way, and I know Bob, you'd done Bang the Drum Slowly. You'd been in Brian's films, but when this was released, this scene was the one I think that grounded our careers in a way. I think there was something that just shot out from the screen, and it was your idea to do it because you felt that the character you said to me in rehearsal that Charlie, played by Harvey Keitel, would have to. He goes through so much defending him and helping for whatever reasons, and very complicated, but he does. And Bob said that you had to show how Harvey is taken in by Johnny. And so you came up with an improv, and I wrote down those notes in a little book. And it wasn't in the script, so we went to the last day of shooting. It was 24 days or 25 days. And then I begged John Taplin, who's our producer, to give us another 2 hours to shoot this. And I forgot the book.
Wow. The Irishman was, the book was terrific. I thought, and then I said, Marty, read this, see what you think. And we said, let's go. We were about to do something else, and then we went into The Irishman. It was just a whole other, something that would be right.
Well, it was profoundly, I think you really felt the heart of this character in this situation. And it's a universal story. It really happens to be set in that world. And one has to understand, too, that, yes, the families, my parents were great. I lived in 253 Elizabeth Street, and third floor front. And I saw everything because of asthma, and I couldn't run around and stuff. So I would see everything from an overhead shot from the third floor looking down. Now, they're in my movies, and some critics say, oh, he's always doing God's point of view. No, actually, it's... I got to tell you, it looks great from up there, And so, we grew up in a world, I was there in 1949, 1950, 55. On Elizabeth Street, we were bounded on the east by what they called at that time Devil's Mile, the Bowery. On the west by what they called at that time Murder Mile, Mulberry Street. So the connotations, those were names given to those places over a period of decades. So they had to have elements of the dark side, and that's where we grew up.
Yeah, I think your father is this true? I mean, I think I verified it with you. I'm not sure, though, but your father actually came up with the word Goodfellas? Was that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Nick Pileggi were talking.
Yeah, Nick, because such a great word as opposed to wise guy, which is legitimate, but Goodfellas is it's much more specific.
Yeah. Well, the thing was about it's in a mumbling kind of coded language, which is, no, he's okay. He's a good fella. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's all right, good fella. That's it. Not this is a good fella. Yeah. Okay? When the time came to do Raging Bull, and I had resisted for a while for a few years actually, because I didn't understand boxing really, and it's a long story, but bottom line, because I didn't have any experience of sports. In fact, if I saw anybody run, you know what I mean? I thought, I can't do that. And if there was a ball involved, forget it.
Well, you would tell me, go rehearse, go practice boxing, do whatever, and then I'll come watch it and take video, da-da-da.
Yeah, but you see, thank God there was video at the time, because by the time I realized I could do the movie and I got into what your head was saying about that character, the movie's really the character. It's not necessarily the boxing scenes. And so this character was so extraordinary that I felt that the boxing scenes had to be special, but I didn't know how. And one day it was on 14th Street. There was the gym.
Yeah. 14th Street gym.
Right next to Luchow's, the old Luchow's and the Academy of Music. And you got in the ring, I think it was with Jimmy Nickerson?
Could be, yeah.
Or Jake. I think it was Jimmy.
Jimmy or Jake. Yeah.
And they videoed the thing, right?
Yeah.
This is 78. So, I mean, video at that time was black and white, one angle. And I got there, and I'd gone through some, I was just recuperating from a long period of kind of a desperate search as to what kind of film to make and what was going to happen in my life. And I sat down, you said, okay, we're going to go through this. And you've been working on this for a year or more,
Yeah,
you know?
a while, yeah.
And you went through all 9 fights.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
forgot that.
And exactly my reaction. I sat there and I suddenly realized, this is overwhelming. I said, I just can't shoot this. I have to design it all. Well, we design it based on their choreography, but still, I said, this has to be, you know, the Wild Bunch. There's got to be Peckinpah. This can't be in the terms of the choreography of the camera and the physical choreography, combining Jimmy, Jake, you and me, and Mike Chapman on camera. And I think our Marquette, I think, who was the camera operator.
Yeah.
Those days we
Sure.
didn't have any video assist. So your operator was the guy, you see, letting you know if you got it or not. But I realized that and I just froze. And I remember you came out and you looked at me and you came down and you said, are you okay? I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm killing myself in there. Are you paying attention? The thing was a Steadicam at that time. This is a good example. The one fight that I didn't design was your championship fight, which, because the character wanted that championship, and I figured, okay, let's go through round 2, round 3. Then at one point, Marcel Cerdan had hurt his arm. He said, I can't fight anymore. Okay, he wins. He gets, okay, big deal. We know that. Okay. I said, so, you know, let's use this new device, the Steadicam. And the day we shot it, I didn't understand about the Steadicam at that point. I felt it when I saw the rushes that it was indefinite. I was not criticizing the technique. I didn't know how to use it. It was floating. And this is this is like headlines in tabloids. This is something that's like Ouija, you know?
Yeah.
It has to be strong and it has to have conviction. And you have to know where to put the lens so the audience could see what you think they should see. You have to direct it. And I realized I couldn't get away with it. I have to direct it. And Garrett said, you didn't give it a chance. He told me, you didn't give the camera a chance. I said, no, I have to do the work. So we went and we reshot it. And it worked out much better. And then Garrett was redeemed in a way because we did that, I think, a very beautiful shot that starts in the beginning of the scene, that starts in the dressing room. You say, I'm the boss, and you go all the way through, and it goes down the aisle, all the 1,000 extras, remember, and get in the ring. That was a Steadicam shot. That's using it the right way. Do you remember that meeting in the Galleria?
Oh, with
When
her.
the 2 guys came up and tried to talk us out of it?
Who? Oh, I forgot that. Who
Well,
was
it
that?
was like Irwin Winkler, who was one of the producers, Charter Winkler, you know, and the script had been done, and then we rewrote it. Paul's script. He took me to an island. He enjoyed the island. I stayed inside, you know. It was like 2.5 weeks we were there with this person who was typing it out. We rewrote the whole thing, and got back. Irwin loved it. The studio kind of liked it. He said they liked it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And we were like idiots at the time, saying, oh, we're going to get the film made. No, it wasn't that simple. And at the same time, Heaven's Gate was being made at the same studio. Apocalypse had just been made. Apocalypse Now was all United Artists, and they were great. Eric Pleskow and Arthur Krim. So what happened was that I had an apartment on 57th Street, and we were there discussing the script or whatever. Irwin said, you know, the couple of the guys from the studio were here, and they just like to come by, say hello. I said, why? What do they want? He said, no, they just want to say hello. We're going to check in. You know, you want to make the film in black and white now, and they want to talk, the black and white thing. All right, okay. So we were there, and 2 guys came up. Actually, 2 very good guys. I like them.
Who was it?
David Field.
Yeah.
And the guy who wrote Final Cut, Stephen Bach.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the story is in the Final Cut book, actually, Stephen Bach's book. And they were questioning us about the film, and they were sent there, I guess, by the front office. And we were just behaving as if, like, we're answering questions, and I answered the questions the best I could about the black and white. And then at one point, one of the guys said, why do you want to make a film about this guy? This guy is a cockroach. And, it's actually a valid question because it's about entertainment also, you see. In fact, the opening scene is, that's entertainment, he says. And so your reaction was articulate and was grand in a sense. You said, no, he's not. That froze them. I'm not kidding. It was like, no, that was like, and we said, yeah, everything went, the meeting went on, nice and nice. And they all left, and we were making the film. I don't know what happened. A year or so later, Irwin, in his new book, Irwin Winkler's book, he tells this story. They were on their way up to cancel the film.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't let us know.
I remember you and I had these long talks at the camper, and Jerry be waiting, and I realized Jerry's older than us. He's more, and he's a veteran, and da-da-da, and I felt, geez, we better, to myself, I just was, I felt that I was not being sensitive enough about his situation, but we just get in these long conversations about what it was, this and that.
I know. And sometimes it wasn't really about the film. A lot of times. It was just, but the thing is that that's part of the work. And it's really, it's like a meditation process. I must say, it's like you to pull away from everything else and you get focused again. You get focused again. I find that with the, that it's very, it's a very important part of the process. It's better if you kind of figure it into the day in terms of length of time. And with Jerry Lewis, I adore Jerry, but the point was that I never really worked with a pro on that level.
No.
So I usually the films that we made from Mean Streets and Alice's Liberty Moors, Ellen Burstyn. It was a different kind of thing. Christopherson. We were all making it together. It was like low budget stuff, Taxi Driver, other films, New York. But here, and Raging Bull particularly, and my parents were in them, but here
well, your mother was in this. Your mother would call me
Gerald.
She'd call it Rupert.
Rupert,
from the when I was down.
Yeah,
in
she
the
plays the
basement.
mother, the voice when he was down in her basement. That's my mother torturing Bob. In a sense, it's really the internal. Everything's exploding in his head. What's he going to do? And also, it's beautiful because his character is his own self-destruction. He's got his own. At least Joe's character is a maniac in a sense. He's a psychopath. This guy is just like he thinks he could pull everything together, and he won't give in. That great scene with you and the terrific actor L.Q. Jones, where if you just said, "I'd let that guy back in," but no, no way. And it's his pride and the fall, and I think that one of the reasons Nick Pileggi got me involved in this story, and I had a deal at Universal, Tom Pollock and Casey Silver and those guys, and I had done Cape Fear with you. And this for Universal. And in a sense, they were a lot to do with the fact that it's not payback, but they were very good with me with Last Temptation of Christ. I had to reciprocate in those sense. And you brought me Cape Fear, which we did, I think, in 91. And then then it went off into the Age of Innocence and came back to this. But this was a natural, I think, in the sense that it's a version of Paradise Lost. Here's this, God gives them this paradise of sin, Vegas. They could do anything, right? And they screw it up. They get cast out of the paradise, They just, it reminds me of the story Nick always tells of a guy in the old neighborhood who was a thief and and he would go to church a lot, and he would pray to God to give him the strength to steal some more. Please, God, because he's got to work. That's all they know, and they can't get out. And so you have Casino, the whole idea of the tragedy of every man and every woman's death. Is it a tragedy, or is it dealing with faith? Is it something that is a release? Is it something that transcends? And so, for me, that faith that I was instilled with when I was a kid, that changes. You get older, but in the 60s, You go through the 60s, everything is open, there's all this stuff going on, you start to question everything. And ultimately, it's been a long kind of struggle, not finished, of course, but a struggle towards a mature. Have seen many films, and in a way, there's certain styles that it's not easy to mimic, or to what they used to use the word steal. You know, there's no such thing because it comes out your way, and it's an interpretation and inspiration from a lot of great cinema of the past that I still find inspiring, put it that way. But music really, music and then silence itself, it leads the way in terms of designing scenes. When it comes to things like with Bob and Harvey and Mean Streets, I mean, that's basically, I remember specifically at that time, just the American shot, right below the knee, two-shot. You know, you can see it in any Howard Hawks film. And overs. That's it. Don't get in the way. And those kinds of scenes. Try not to get in the way and trust the actor, trust the face up there on the screen.